Okay, now this is my second session of feeder fishing, so thank you for joining us. We're here at a place in Pretoria which allows a bit of commercial fishing, a couple of small dams with bass, barbel, carp, kerper, a whole bunch of variety of species. This dam in particular has got some kerper, barbel, bass and carp in. So we're going to target some of the carp and maybe some kerper, depending. I'm going to use 2 feeder rods and see how it works, one with cage, fishing maize and a couple of other things. But before I let you into the picture of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, the feed needs to get into the water quickly. It's already close to 10 o'clock in the morning. Lovely overcast today. We've had 2 weeks of a heat wave, so hopefully with this cooling down a bit with the overcast weather, I think the fishing might turn on and might turn into a very, very productive day. So first of all, in some of the previous episodes we ran through some of the feeder feed which we use. Dutch Danger has got a couple of flavors, then there's Champion's Choice which has got a couple of flavors. Now the bit I've fished with this already, it's lovely feed to bind and to mix quickly. Alright, you can bind it within a minute or two. You can have it back on the feeder and casting it. If you're using a cage, you don't even need it to bind. You can mix it with nice particles or whatever you choose to use. The whole thing with feeder feeding is you've got a variety. You can feed with earthworms, you can feed with all kinds of seeds, maize, whatever you feel like. What this does, they're quite clever in this. They obviously have done their homework in Europe. They're very advanced when it comes to carp fishing, and especially feeder fishing, which is probably one of their biggest industries comparing to our bank angling. Now, like I mentioned in previous episodes, our bank angling, unfortunately, you can't get provincial or national colors anymore. If you want to go that route, you need to adapt to feeder fishing, which is pretty much the setup we've got here. And going forward in future episodes, we'll join some of the pro competitive anglers to show us really the techniques and the finer details of the equipment needed. For now, we're going from a layman's perspective with a background of different facets and a bit of bank angling in behind us, and we're just adapting to see how these things work. The main feature is you're fishing one hook only, still use the bait on the hook, and you use different ways like cages and method feeders, which is very much like our bait holders in bank angling or papgooi. So what I'm going to do a bit of a combination. I'm going to use the Black Monster. It's funny how that works on any feed or bait when you've got the word monster in. In any angler's head, that plays a role. Okay, and then I've got Stillwater Surprise, which I really like for dam fishing and stuff like that. It's got, again, I just want to reiterate on this. If you just look at these packets, if you look at normal feed, normal millibom, or maize for that matter, that's got about 6 to 7% protein in. If you look at these packets, they're all from 16% up to 26% in protein, which is one of the main things that a carp would look for in food. And what I mentioned last time as well is if you had to put normal maize and this kind of feed in this dam, a small environment or even a big dam for a period of time, at the same time your carp will in time rather feed on something that's got more nutritional value to them. And this has been proven in Europe. If you go look at all the breeding farms, carp breeding farms in Europe, they have really looked into this and they specialize in developing food that will make carp healthier, feed more and grow faster. So I think, my opinion about this is only positive for our type of fishing. If we could adapt a little bit, even mix it with our conventional millibom, which the guys are used to, but take the Browning product or any other overseas or European product, mix it into your millibom and get the fish onto a better nutritional value, and that ensures better quality fish, faster growing fish in our dams. We've got a couple of million of anglers fishing every year on the freshwater side, and it can have a massive impact. Okay, not going to go too much into that. Just get a bit of feed out, put water in, using your finger. Now, in some of our previous episodes I've shown you guys this bucket of brownie. What's nice about it, you've got this top lid or top bowl which you use to mix your feed in. On the bottom you store all your extras, all the extra feed you've got or want to use. And then you've got a proper lid that fits on top, which is now proven to keep the bait much fresher for longer in the day. So you don't get that little sourness coming into your feed. This has grown very popular, so you're lucky if you find one of these in the tackle stores, because I know they've been selling out, especially in the Gauteng area. Yeah. Right, now look at all the lovely colors in here. I've added the dark monster, which makes it a darker bob, which I just matched to the bottom here. That looks exactly the same color as the bottom of the dam we're fishing, with a light bit of yellow and red pieces or particles in there. Nothing's going to swim past it. Another distincting factor, every time I've used this, if you smell this, you can just smell the goodness. You can smell, it's got a totally different smell than what we used to. It's got an underlying smell of what we used to, but you can smell all the little extras here. Now look at this. This is literally a minute later, and that's it. That's how quickly this binds. It's fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make a couple of balls, get a spot, pick a spot, get them in the water, and then rig up my rods. Okay, now there's different ways of getting this into the water, but a nice little small dam like this, I'm just going to use my hand. You can use a slingshot, you can use your feeder to feed a couple of balls before you start fishing. There's different ways and different methods of achieving a feeding area. Now obviously the quickest, fastest way is what matters. In a small dam like this, this is the best tool. Important and worth mentioning is to keep your feet as close in a small circle as possible, so that you can be accurate when you cast. Make a landmark from where you're sitting, and that's where you want to throw your bait. I'm going to make another feeding area on the right here, where I'm going to add maize and a bit of hemp. Let's get that mixed. Here I want a bit more yellow, because what I want to do, what's nice about Champion Browning, Champion's Choice, you get, this is crushed hemp. You get ready in a tin. I'm just going to add a bit of that. I'm impressed. You can imagine if stuff's in tins, it might change flavor quite quickly. Normal sweet corn. A winner in any dam, especially now. I'm alone at this dam today, no pressure, and this is actually a tin of coo mealies, which over the years has proven itself. Squash a bit of them. I don't want to put too much in. I want to actually use the feeder to distribute or concentrate the maize. Okay. Now let's just get this mixed. I love the little pieces, the little red and yellow. It just kind of builds your confidence and that surety of drawing a fish's attention. And the smell, if you can smell what I smell, there's no way they'll swim past this. We saw it at the Vaal River as well. Was a defining factor. Even with the maize, you can see how nice that binds. And it's very slow dispersing. Obviously the more water you put in, the quicker it will disperse in the water. I've made it nice so it slowly disperses. I don't want the fish to just gulp it up before my bait's in the water. And that's the other side. Now this is the worst when you get to a dam and you just want to get fishing, and that's why a lot of times we neglect the proper preparation of getting a spot on the feed, especially if there's other anglers here. You want to actually make sure your preparation is tops, because then your whole day's fishing will be determined by what you put in the beginning. So maybe just take that little bit of extra time, calm down the excitement and eagerness to get hooks in the water. One thing about feeder, you use your rod tip to actually detect the bite. Now in a small little dam like this, I want to go lighter, which will be our little 2-ounce tip. That's only going to be fun. I'm using the Browning Viper, which is one of the top end rods, and then I've got the other one, which I'll show you guys just now. Which I'll use in the second feeding area. Just first replace the tip. All bull rods. And then I've got the Browning Hybrid, which is currently in special at most stores, and I can't remember the price, but it's a very good price. Also comes with 3 tips. Let's see which one's on. It's a shorter rod, this. Fun. Reminds you of your childhood when you had this very light, ultra light tackle and managed to hook some good fish on. Very memorable experiences. Because these rods are so soft, they obviously adapt by putting a lot of guides on so that your line doesn't touch your rod when it's under full bend. What I've done, this is a method feeder, as I've shown before. This is a 20 grammer. It will lie flat on the bottom. The carp won't be able to roll it around as easily as what it would do with a normal bomb, and your bomb sits on top here. Behind that I've got 7 pound with a small little hook where I'll put my bait on, which I'm going to do now. Okay, and as a hook bait I'm just going to start. I want to get this one in the water while I'm busy with the other one. So I'm going to use a little bit of maize, one of the pips. You're literally going to plug it. Keep it natural. Now you'll see the distance here is quite far, so when I leave this now for a while to dissolve, then I drag it softly until that more or less you can see the distance. So I need to do about 35 centimeters to get it close to where the rest of the maize is. This is on a slide, so when the fish picks up, won't feel any weight. Now, as enjoyable as what it is here next to the water, we still want to get some fish, which has been a problem. We've been now here just over an hour. I've changed 4 times, which I feel is maybe a bit quick because it's getting closer to midday, later in the day. and the fish will feed a bit slower. There's a lot of crabs, so we want to adjust the technique a bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use floaties on the hook only, because this feed actually pops up little pieces and particles shoot into the air. Now the crabs are immediately on your feed, so maybe the carp will come across, and if my hook sits this high from the bottom, the crabs can't get it and the carp might just pick it up. So we're going to give that a shot. We've seen some good carp here, all 2-3 kilo fish we've seen breaking the surface, so I think it will be very, very enjoyable hooking them on these soft rods. Okay, now all I've done, I filled it again with some maize, a couple of floaties to pop out of there, and I've put some of the feed without compressing it in there, which shoots up. We just tested in the water here, it shoots up into the air, and the floaty will take this hook and put it on top here, away from the crabs. Okay, same spot. I see my rod tip, I just cast it, and there's already something on the cage, on the feed, moving it around, which I suspect could be the crabs in that feeding area. What we're going to do just now, if this doesn't work, I'm going to start casting off the feeding area, about 2 meters to the left or right or over or short, and see if we can't pick up a fish there, because the crabs are obviously thick into the feed. Quite nice big crabs as well. Okay, finally there's a pickup. Got him on, but it feels immediately like he's stuck or something. There it came off. It might have been a big crab we hooked. Bait's off. And the line's not damaged, so that must have been something worthwhile. Let's start over. At least we got a result. That is a massive run. After a very quiet day, a massive run. Okay, that was a very big fish that broke the hook link. Now that's disappointing. That was I couldn't understand that the reel carried on running because the dam stops here. I don't know where that fish went. But yeah, cut me off or broke me off. It's not what we wanted to see. Okay, I was using a 6-pound. Now I've gone up to fluorocarbon and I'm using a 17-pound Siglon. Not going to take chances. We only found out later today, this afternoon, when the owner was able to come and see us, that they catch fish between 6 and 15 kilos. Yeah, the average weight between 6 and 10. He also gave us a bit of what they feed the fish, tips on what they feed. They feed them trout pellets 3 days a week, and it made sense to go to a more fishy bait now. And as soon as we did it, there we go, Bob Sharp. That's the wrong knot, let's do it different. The fish was upset. You're great. Now I'm upset. Amazing the drag, we'll give it that. These little browning reels. Okay, still using the feed. Adding a bit of fishy pellets. Putting a small little ball on. Hide the sinker. We've put a lot of feed out there, and we've added some of the fishy pellets in the water there, and that's the result you guys will see. Okay, well, it was our first time here. We did exactly what I always tell people to do, not to do, is we didn't ask. We did want to ask this morning. The owner unfortunately had an incident to attend to, but he came through this afternoon, told us what happens at this dam. That helped a lot. We hooked that very big fish. We're hoping to possibly hook another one. We've moved both the rods into that area. Doesn't mean there's more fish, but we're trying it. And we'll definitely be back to come catch them. I have to come back.